Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the Netflix TV series Sweet Tooth Season 1. Sweet Tooth has been on Netflix for a while, and believe it or not, it is a product of DC Comics. I'm pretty interested in post-apocalyptic content, so I thought I would check this TV show out. The synopsis is as follows. On a perilous adventure in a post-apocalyptic world, a boy who's half human and half deer searches for a new beginning with a gruff protector. The previews for this show made it look pretty interesting and unique, so I was excited to take a look at it. Without further ado, let's look into the 6 things that make a TV show great. 1 is the plot. The main plot point of this TV show centers around Gus and Jeopard as they are in this post-apocalyptic world trying to find Gus's mom. They don't know whether or not she's alive, but Gus wants to at least try, and Jeopard, albeit hesitant at first, is willing to help him try. Gus is a hybrid, and because of something that happened in this universe called the Great Crumble, which is a point in this universe where a sickness broke out and hundreds of thousands of people died, at the exact same time, there were many hybrid babies that were being born. They were part human and part creature. And the most disputed and dividing thing in this show is whether or not the hybrids caused the virus or the virus caused the hybrids. Either way, there's a negative disposition towards hybrids in this universe. And so with those facts in mind, this drives the plot forward and what ends up unfolding in this TV show. But there are several other subplots that start to form as the story unfolds and this universe blossoms. I think they did a good job of adding different subplots and content as you went along to go with the growth of the audience through this show. They make effective use of flashbacks and moments involving the subplots, and they all end up coming together in a pretty decent way. I'm always a fan of good storytelling and good juggling of subplots, so I have to give plot a thumbs up. 2 is family friendliness. While this TV show does pander more towards a younger demographic, there are some dark moments in this show. Many people die, sometimes in horrible ways, like in this town where if they think you have the sickness, they burn you in your house alive. And there's some profanity and some creepy, scary moments. So while this TV show takes on a lighter tone, there are darker moments that keep it from being completely family friendly. But I think it paints a realistic view of what could happen in a post-apocalyptic universe like this. You see light battling dark, and there are some good undertones involved in this show about making the best moral decision, even if it may not be the easiest. Decided or not whether this TV show is family friendly is best left up to the discretion of the viewer, so family friendliness gets a 50-50. 3 is acting and script. The acting in this show is pretty decent. Christian Convery plays Gus, and I think he does a great job. There are some moments where I feel like his acting is lacking, but not enough to pull me out of the TV show. Personally, I thought Will Forte's performance was a bit obnoxious. I don't know what it was, but I didn't really like his acting performance. But I did eventually warm up to his performance later in the show. Adil Akhtar and Eliza Villani did a great job, and I really liked their part in the subplot. But the acting performance that stole the show for me was from Nonso Anansi. I've really liked his performance and his acting ability in other movies that I've seen him in, but none of those movies were very good. So to see him in a pretty good TV show delivering the best performance, in my opinion, was really refreshing. I really liked Nonso's performance in this show, and I hope to see him in more because he's great. And I really liked the script of this TV show. I liked the way that they wrote it and the way that the story progressed on screen. I think there were a few cringy lines, but not enough to make me hate the show. But the dialogue between characters was pretty good, which is saying something when you're dealing with a DC product. So acting and script get a thumbs up. 4 is character development. For the most part, I really liked what this show did with its character development. It does a great job of establishing the character of Gus and his father and what Gus understands about the world at that time. As the plot progresses, Gus begins to understand more and understand that maybe things were not originally what he thought they were. He starts to question why things were told to him in the way that they were, and you really get some quality character building with Gus and with his understanding of the world and who he is. And as the audience finds this stuff out and they get acclimated to this universe, then the show starts letting us into these subplots involving other characters and building their character development and their stories really well. So they do a really great job developing these characters, and I like their effective use of flashbacks in the subplots, and it all comes together really well. So I like what they did with the character development. Unfortunately, DC stays true to something that has really been a detriment to their cinema, which is a lack of a developed villain. The villain in this show, couldn't even tell you his name because I don't care. He's not a well-developed villain, and if there was anything that pushed this show from being a darker and semi-more realistic show to an unbelievable show that kind of pulled me out and was like, this is kind of not meant for an adult audience, was the lack of a threatening villain. The result is a weaker TV show overall because of an underdeveloped antagonist, and that is such a killer. So because of that, I have to give character development a 50-50. 5 is CG. I gotta say, some of the creature CG in this show is pretty dang good. Everything looks really clean and looks really real, and when you're working with something where someone who has CG or has props or both is going to be on the screen for most of the show, I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. That being said, I think to make up for that in their budget, they just didn't include a lot of hybrids. Later in the season, we end up seeing a few more hybrids, but not a ton. And I definitely was hoping to see more, and hopefully we will in season 2. But overall, I enjoyed the CGI that I saw in this show, and it had a couple decent visuals, so I have to give CGI and visuals a thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. Honestly, when you take a look at all the streaming platforms and all the TV shows and movies that are out there right now, Sweet Tooth Season 1 is pretty good. There's so much darkness and so much garbage out there right now that's not rewatchable or not worth even investing in the first place. And you look at a TV show like Sweet Tooth and you're like, you know what? I think that the world may be a better place if we had more stuff like this. Is it the best quality? No. But is it enjoyable? Is there cool moments? Is there good dialogue, a decent plot? Yeah. And there's enough good storytelling and characters in this show to the point where I think it may be worth watching again. So rewatchability gets a thumbs up. With all those areas considered, I have to give Sweet Tooth Season 1 a 7.5 out of 10. There was a lot of great character moments, there was good undertones in this show, there was some interesting dynamics that were introduced, and even in the face of some subpar acting and an underdeveloped antagonist, they did a good job almost everywhere else. In my opinion, Sweet Tooth Season 1 is a really good watch, especially considering everything else that's out there. So if you're looking for a TV show that's pretty lighthearted with some darker moments and is relatively clean with an interesting storyline, I think you should check out Sweet Tooth Season 1 on Netflix. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Sweet Tooth Season 1, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.